Hi, my name is Lennis Woods Mullins. I'm an online media strategist and also your co-host, I guess, with Beverly on Mindfulness Mondays with Beverly. And today we're going to be talking about something that I'm actually going to stay on camera and ask a few questions because this is something that I personally have a vested interest in, and that's overcoming anxiety and stress during the election. It's interesting, Beverly. In fact, for those of you who are new to the page, let me first say that Beverly Kyer is an expert on compassion fatigue. She's a therapist. She is also an author, a speaker, and she has traveled literally throughout the country talking to people about compassion fatigue. And these people usually are first responders and human service professionals who are dealing with trauma all the time. She is an ACE recipient, a grant recipient, which means she is now working with people who specifically are dealing with children of trauma, of which we have plenty of in this country right now. So her skill set's very valued, and I'm so happy that she's taking time out of her schedule to speak into our lives about things that we need to be knowing as first responders and people who are caregivers and who work with people. So Beverly, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Lennis. Thank you so much for the introduction and your
Well,
kind words of encouragement. And good morning, everyone. Good morning. As Lennis says, my specialty is really talking about compassion fatigue, which we all understand, many of us understand as secondary and vicarious trauma. And I'm talking about that from a really wellness position to help those in the human services and family caregiving to know to take care of themselves concurrent with their service to others. And then I was asked over the past several months to talk about the issues, the state of the country, the toxic distress in the country over these very, very dark matters. And I was saying, well, I didn't necessarily know if I wanted to step into more of a political frame. But then it occurred to me, I says, we have to look at the impact on people's health and wellness, their mental and emotional states with all this going on. And so I am going to talk about it to a large extent, particularly as it comes to the upcoming elections and our concerns about those elections. As you know, we are living in times of great national turmoil. The stress of life, even before COVID-19, was significant. And now it is exacerbated stress in the era of COVID-19. We're also looking at the continuous crushing loss of Black and Brown lives and the murderous invasion of peaceful attempts at demonstrating. And now, yet on top of that, is the threat and attacks against our most fundamental rights to address and hopefully positively impact the ills of our nation, and that is being able to vote. That is really under attack. As typical for me, when I talk about wellness to all of you who serve those who are impacted traumatically in their lives, I like to use my three R's: my release, my reboot, my recharge, which I think are key this formats or strategies or steps to take daily to help us reduce the distress that we face and particularly the anxiety that we face. The release is, as I said to you before, is about opening up and releasing, getting things off your chest, not holding on to things. The reboot, that's the second R, is about doing something to get your snap back. Do what it does to get you back in your place to a level of effectiveness, kind of like clear your mind, and center into your central nervous system. And then after that, we're better able to even then make decisions that are more effective and more mindful. But the third R is recharge, to replenish and put back so much of what you have expended throughout the day, every day, several times a day in your service and caregiving to others. So let's begin with release, the first R, as it relates to the voting thing. I find it really, really important to talk. I have learned the hard way the detrimental injury of holding stuff in and letting it fester and letting it pile up until it overwhelms it. Believe it or not, it breaks the body down. But for me, I have three friends. I have actually a number of friends. I'm a very blessed woman. But three friends that I go to in these times of high anxiety that I could always count on to be number one, very well informed. Number two, to be practical and constructive. This is really important for me. to think. Now, we may need a few minutes to emote, to gripe, to cry, to cuss, to be emotional. And then we, after that, allowing ourselves to this kind of release. In that way, we get down to brass tacks. The what is the best approach to this situation that has us distressed and anxious? How should we prepare for it? Any eventuality with our contingency plans? Who should we go to? Who should we talk to? What should we know? And then look at and examine our options. But that's part of the release, to let it out, to talk, to process what's going on with regards to the vote and the elections that are coming. My next R that I step into is my reboot. Now, this looks a little different than having this really face a situation that was particularly distressful, because we're still talking about something that has major national impact, not just your personal impact. And one of the things for me, and I think for a lot of people, because I talk to people all over the country, a whole scale of people from all kinds of backgrounds, is I don't like feeling helpless in a situation. And there are people in power, yes, 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 and they have a lot of control over what's happening, but I still don't like feeling helpless. So we look at, and I encourage us to look at possible constructive actions that work for you. What can you do? Like, I'm a letter writer. I am somewhat political. I am quite a bit political, actually. I write letters. I listen to people. Um, um, I get information from the best. So two of the people that I really pay attention to, in addition to all of the health sciences, is like my governor. I listen to him. He has town hall meetings. They're live, virtually on the Zoom session. And when I can't be present for that, then I would listen to a recording of it. I also listen to my county supervisor to get information about what to do. But I take that kind of constructive action for me. On the matter of voting safety, for instance, when I attend these virtual town hall meetings or calls or the Zoom sessions, that what I'm listening for from them is where the areas where drop boxes have been literally removed, or the areas where the sorting machines have been dismantled, destroyed, so they can't be used, which will slow down the process for the post offices to be able to exercise all of that mail. And also looking at, I understand that it's different in every state, in every town, but it's up to us to find the right people who we could relatively trust to give us the appropriate information. I know how to find out about accessible and safe places for early voting, which is my personal choice. I don't plan, for various health reasons of my own, to be on any lines waiting to vote at some voting booth, but I want to know where I could drop those my voting package ballots off at the best possible place for me. So I know that things are changing all the time, and we can't always do everything in the moment, but I know where to go. And that helps me kind of say, okay, I could just kind of relax and reboot and get my strength back. Having some idea or a plan of a number of contingency plans. And I like to write them down. Remember, I said about the importance. I don't hold them and have them whirling around in my head, causing all kinds of brain fog and clutter. But I put them on paper, the contingency plans, so they could be reviewed. And again, when I'm talking to my three favorite people that I like to talk to about things like this, we could kind of check our notes and see what makes sense. So that process, that reboot process helps me tremendously reduce the anxiety that I feel about this situation, these circumstances going on in America. Then I want to move to the third R, which is a recharge. Herein, I've done the work, come up with some ideas, some plans, have some ideas of what to do, know where to look. And that takes a great deal of energy, because I am also aware of what is happening, and that distresses me more. But I have to put back what I've expended. And so I like to connect in with my therapeutic community. These are people, these are my people. The kind of people in my therapeutic community, they're the ones that see the glass half full. Mhm. People who may cry for 10 minutes and then laugh for 30 minutes about anything. That's my kind of people. I engage also in my arts and my games and a great movie and music, all those wonderful right brain activities that allow that one of those wonderful chemistries of the dopamines and the endorphins and the serotonins to kind of replenish myself and lift myself so I can still see possibilities. I love Netflix documentaries when I've paid attention to the things that are very unpleasant, the dark aspects of what's going on. I like the documentaries about people who are overcomers. That's just a lift. That's just an encouragement to say that no matter what's going on, there's a way out. Things are going to be better. And matter of fact, it reminds me that there's much more good than negative. There's much more love than hate in this country. Most of all, I cling to my faith, and that is my source. That is my greatest faith. And that means for me talking to God. And when I talk to Him, thus I am reassured. You see, my heart plans my way. My heart, what I should do, what I want to do, what I think is best. But for me, the Lord directs my steps. And when I receive what I like to refer to as a download, then the anxiety fades away. It just does for me. You have your own way of doing it, your meditation, your affirmations, all of that's good. But whatever your source is, when I get my download and the anxiety fades, I'm at peace. I'm at peace. And so I wish that all for you. But that's what I wanted to say about the anxiety about the vote. And then in the end, whatever happens in November, whatever, we will get through that because we're going to do it together. We're going to talk, we're going to process, we're going to cry, we're going to pray. We might even cuss for a minute. And then we're going to have a conversation. What's the next best thing that we could do together? So with that being said, I just want to remind you again to be kind to yourself through the whole process. And Lennis, I know you got a question or two because this
Yeah,
is
I do. I do have some questions. Anxiety and stress is definitely right in my wheelhouse only because I suffered from an anxiety disorder for many years. And it's been many years since I have overcome it. But from time to time, little things come in. And because now you have a perfect storm in some ways. We have the economic crisis, we have the political crisis is going on, we have the racial crisis is going on, we have a health crisis that's going on, and we have the economy that's going on. So a lot of things are impacting people at the same time. So when you're taking a look at the big picture, what is it that you can do to maybe compartmentalize it, or to not worry so much about the future or the past, but to kind of stay present? What kinds of things can you do to help you with that?
this is my take on that, and it comes from my own personal faith, practice, and walk, and how I understand it. I always believe that all of us are sitting here with a purpose and with a mission and with a set of skills and gifts to employ on any situation. And with that, I said, I have to, when I sit and pray and I sit and think, I sit and reflect for a while, I said, well, what am I able to do? What do I get to give in this situation? Which always reminds me is stay in the lane. What I'm doing now in my work in compassion fatigue on a national level, what I'm doing to talk about stress, toxic stress, the impact, the importance of wellness, talking about anxiety is what I was sent to do. And I really do work at staying at my lane. See, my mind makes me want to scatter. I got this thing called the octopus syndrome, the octopus. I want to touch this every time I hear something. But I'm always
Right.
reminding myself to go back and do what I'm supposed to do, because see, somebody else is assigned to those other areas.
Mhm.
So I'm saying don't scatter. Don't scatter. Don't allow
Mm.
yourself to do it. It's a natural instinct, but you yourself and focus on the gifts given you, what you're equipped to do.
I think that's excellent advice, because I do know from my own experience, as you know, we just got through doing the hope and wellness virtual retreat. It was wonderful. Beverly was one of the guest speakers, and we'll
Magnificent.
be
Yeah.
streaming that here. Yes, we'll be speaking that here in the group later on this week. But as I was producing that, one of the things that kept driving me were two things. The first thing was that if God put this on my plate to do, then He's going to give me all the tools necessary to get me through it.
Mhm.
But the other was to stay present, to stay focused on what was in front of me to do, not worrying so much about the future, definitely not thinking about the past, but staying present. I think probably the greatest tools I've ever learned, there are two, in terms of dealing with my anxiety. The first one was essential oils. I mean, in terms of maintaining a chemical balance without using pharmaceuticals. But the other one was finally learning the gift of staying present. That doesn't mean that you're in denial and that you're not aware of what's going on, but you're
Mm-hmm.
staying focused on that thing. And it's easier to stay focused if you are staying within your lane of your purpose, within the lane of your passion, within the lane of what it is you're supposed to be doing. And then all this other extra peripheral stuff, you know it's there, but I have to just kind of release it and stay in my lane and focus on the task of the day that God has given me to do. And that really, I mean, I really kind of am amazed that I am not more stressed out than I already am. I feel very little anxiety, and I'm also very hopeful. I'm very hopeful, and you know, from the summit, not the summit, the retreat that we had, hope was an acronym, which means honoring our purpose every day.
Powerful acronym. Yeah.
Yes, yes,
That's
and if we're honoring our purpose,
why we named this particular program Mindfulness Monday. Mindfulness is being present where you are in the moment that you are, staying focused. Yeah, all things are coming at us from all different directions, new information, change information, inconsistent information. And then you just say, ah, and then you reel it back in and just, okay, this is what I get to do. This is what I was gifted to do. This is where I know that I'm adding a measure of comfort, of help, support to those people out there on the front lines doing the hard work. Yeah. I'm not going
yes,
to help the
absolutely.
post office. I write the letter about the post office, and I can't do anything about replacing machines, but I'll write a letter about replacing machines. And if anybody asks me, I'll tell them where to go find one. But I got to stay with what I do. And that does tremendously release the anxiety. Yeah. Mhm.
Well, thank you so much, Beverly, for sharing those tips and kind of a reminder about releasing and rebooting and recharging. And as first responders and also human service professionals, these are some key tools that we have to use in order to
Mhm.
keep adding value to what we do. There are people who are dependent upon our emotional and mental well-being. So it's
Mhm.
important that use your tools. I know all of the people that are in this group have had some kind of training somewhere along the way, and or they're actually doing that thing, working within that particular discipline every day. So
Yeah.
remember your training, remember your tools, and use them now more so than ever. It's important to go back to the remembrance and come back every Monday on Mindfulness Mondays and get more tips, tools, and techniques that you can use to prevent or to overcome compassion fatigue and to be able to be that first responder, that caregiver, that teacher that you can be. Thanks so much, Beverly, for
Thank you,
being with us
Lennon.
today.
All of you, take care of yourself. Stay safe, stay well, and God bless.
God bless everyone. Bye bye. See you next Monday.